We had the chance to already look at this beautiful art piece, if you remember, the Sandbox. Extract, create, show, and test. In the next presentation, we'll dive into how the Sandbox was recently put to use at Freenet, uncovering some truly fascinating insights. On the one hand, we have Inga Scharfenberg. She is Market Research and Customer Advocacy Manager at Freenet. Since user experience and user-centered design are highly important to her personally, she's also passionate about professionally contributing to it. Unfortunately, she can't join us today in person, but she prepared a video for us, which we'll shortly be watching. And afterwards, Carina will dive deeper into the results of the study Freenet and iSquare has conducted together and also the research approach. But let me introduce Carina first. She is herself the Chief Experience Officer at iSquare. And since joining the company in 2007, she has been instrumental in shaping the user experience unit, serving as a unit lead since 2010. She specializes in qualitative research methods, emotion tracking, persona development, and also the most important part of it, iterative UX testing throughout the whole product development process. So let's give Carina a warm welcome on stage, and we are all ears.
Thank you, Nuria, for the introduction. Yeah, I'm happy to be here again and really lovely to see you all. Actually, I was hoping to not be here alone on stage, as Nuria already said. Yeah, our client that we conducted the study with, she can't be here. But we will talk about the Sandbox, which is actually the core tool we want to dive in today. And Marvin talked briefly about the Sandbox that is finally possible to integrate any kind of digital product. We have retail environments there, we have ad and media environments there, but also now we can actually put websites in it, we can put Figma prototypes in it, we can amend these products. And this is what we did with Freenet, as you know, hopefully a big telco provider in Germany. And we will show you how we created these products and then also how we tested them using the Sandbox and click tracking. So before it was all about advertising and eye tracking, now we will talk about products, interaction, and click tracking. Yeah, so welcome to our talk. As we said, she was so lovely, Inga, so she prepared a small video. Let's hear what she has to say.
Hi, everyone. I'm sorry I can't be there in person today, but as you can see, I had a little accident. But I still wanted to share what we love about the Sandbox. So first of all, we now have a way to build high fidelity prototypes without using our design resources, which in our case are almost as scarce as IT resources. Secondly, we can use these prototypes not only in the quantitative research, but also in qualitative research, so UX interviews, for example. And lastly, we now have implicit behavioral data in our quantitative research, which makes it so much more valuable for us. So use the Sandbox, try it, and see for yourself. And yeah, have a great time at MEMEX.
So yeah, how did we do the connection with Inga and Freenet? So actually we have called Inga and said, look, we have a great new tool. We want to present you that. It's the Sandbox. And then she reached out back to us and said, look, Carina, I actually have a great case here because I like to test different variations of our homepage. We have the feeling we would need to relaunch it. But you know, my designers and my developers, they don't have any time for that because they are very busy with their product development roadmap, and I have an ad hoc research that I want to do. So can you help me with your Sandbox? And we said, yes, for sure. And then we came up with this study. So first of all, I'll show you a little bit about the background, why we did the study. Then I'll move into the methodological approach and show you some insights and also the key takeaways, especially for Freenet. Yeah, so as I already mentioned, Inga reached out to us and So Freenet, they are having different telco brands. They have the Klarmobil brand, which is the one we are talking about today. They also have other ones. And from these other brands, they knew that their homepages actually performed a little bit better because they presented the different tariffs in another way. They put a little bit more detail and more information to the tiles. The Klarmobil website, as you can see it here, the current design is very minimalist, right? It just has the 3 tariffs and very little information, price, bandwidth, and so on. So this is why Freenet asked themselves, how much information do people actually need on the homepage to decide for a certain tariff? So we came up with 3 hypotheses we wanted to validate with this type of research. So if we increase the amount of information on the homepage, we improve the UX because tariffs can be compared more easily. So is it easier for people to compare the different options? Second hypothesis, the time needed to choose a tariff decreases because all the necessary information is there and it's easier to find, so people can make decisions quicker. And the third hypothesis we had was, if we increase the amount of information on the homepage, the average task completion time decreases because it's easier for users to make an informed decision and they can do it faster. So let's move to the designs we had. So as I said, yeah, what we did with the sandbox. So we took the current design that you can see on the left. It's version 1 current, very minimalist. And then we created 2 different variations. In the middle, you can see version 2 called light detail. Yeah, we've added some bullet points there, and also version 3 heavy detail that even included more details regarding the product. Yeah, here again for you, the current version. Then we've amended it with the sandbox. So we extracted the current website of Klarmobil. We have imported it into the sandbox, and we have amended it and added, different information and also different interactive elements. So question to you, as you're all very experienced with research, UX, digital products, what do you think, which version is winning? So maybe you can just raise your hand. Who is thinking that version 1 will win, the current version? 3 mentions, a few. And who thinks that version 2 will win? This is quite a lot of people. And who thinks version 3 will win? Well, we also have some mentions. Great. So let's see. So what did we do? We have taken into account that, of course, we want to understand UX holistically, which means we don't want to only ask people, which version do you prefer? Which one is more informative for you? We've also had a look at the behavior. So what are they actually doing regarding clicks, regarding task time, also to validate the hypothesis. We have come up with a quantitative online survey. We have chosen behavioral tracking, as I said, with a sandbox. 10 minutes interview. We've done that on desktop. We have done a monadic design, which means 100 people evaluated each version. So yeah, so we recruited via a panel. And as I said, we used the sandbox to create the prototypes. First of all, we did the screening in the survey. Yeah, you are probably all familiar with online surveys. Then we took them to the tracking environment, to the sandbox. We exposed them to their version of the website. We tracked their behavior based on clicks, and then we have taken them to the post-task survey where we have measured some UX ratings, some general UX metrics. And also the participants, you can see here a great mixture of telco providers in Germany, slightly a little bit older, slightly more female. And this actually represents the real target group of Klarmobil as well. So this is very much in line, Inga told me, what they have as a target group. Again, for you, a very nice slide here, how the sandbox works. So those of you who know in context testing know that we have different retail environments in there, the stores. We will also hear later a lot about that. about retail environments, also media environments. We have heard about that. But now we actually, extracted the website and imported it here. Then we used the visual editor to amend them, and then we integrated it into the survey and activated the click tracking. So let's dive into the insights. First of all, I will hope I'm not boring you with some very traditional survey results. So first of all, we can see here that the version 2 is showing some great results here. It delivers clear and reliable tariff information. So people say the amount of information is good. Also, the way the tariffs are presented in the tiles is well done. Also, they like how they are presented, and they also say they trust the provider. What we can also see here is that version 1, the current version, is performing quite weak, which was also a very good insight for Freenet that, it was good to do the study actually. Second insight, we have asked people with which version they have enough information for you to decide on a tariff. And here you can see that actually the version 2 and 3 that have a lot of information, they perform better than version 1, which is more minimalist. Of course, having a lot of information gives us a feeling of safety. We can make an informed decision. We have the feeling that there are no hidden costs. So we feel well with making this decision. This is also reflected in this slide. Again, a survey data. We have asked them which version shows just the right amount of information. And you can see that they actually prefer version 3 that shows a lot of information. Also on the top right, we have asked them which is their preferred version. At the end, we have confronted them with the different versions, and also version 3 is winning. As I said, it gives people security. We see all the information, you see costs, you see bandwidth, everything the tariff contains. But as we can see in the click tracking, which I will show you quickly, people don't click this additional information that is provided. So actually you can say that, it doesn't really help to make an informed decision. So let's have a look at the click tracking data, which we can see here. This is the time to first click. So this is the average moment when people clicked a certain area. And to complete the task, they had to click to the offer link, which is on the bottom of the tiles. And as you can see here, version 2 is the quickest. So with version 2, users can decide very quick already after 37 seconds for a certain tariff, while version 1 is the longest. There are no big differences, but still there are, and these differences we wouldn't have known if we just would have done the surveys, right? Also here, I just brought you this slide to see how the clicks are distributed among the different websites. You can see that the clicky behavior is actually very similar across the versions. People mostly choose the left tile. This is also what really happens. In reality, Freenet told us that this is a very common behavior. But interesting, on the right side here, you can see that the additional elements that provide more information about the tariffs are hardly clicked by anyone. Just 5% of respondents select this additional information. And the last metric I would like to show you is the task time. As you remember, this was also one of our hypotheses, that people can decide quicker on a certain tariff, which is confirmed here. So with version 2, they only need 55 seconds to complete the task. Especially the time they spend on the home page is the shortest. So this version of the homepage helps them to make a quick and informed decision. Right, so most of you were right. Version 2 is winning. You are all experts. Well, as we can see here, a nice overview again. So regarding behavior, we can see that version 2 performs best. The shortest time to first click, the quickest task time. And regarding evaluation, actually, we didn't have a lot of differences between, or no significant differences between version 2 and 3. If we would have only done a survey, we wouldn't have been sure to choose if we should choose version 2 or version 3. So click tracking helped us a lot to decide here. Well, and regarding the hypothesis, actually 2 of them could be validated. What we could not find out was if more information leads to an easier comparison of the tariffs. But there was quicker decision making and also a faster task completion. And this is actually Inga's part, but yeah, she already said it in the video. She said that for her it was very nice to see that it's actually possible to create high fidelity prototypes in the sandbox. So she didn't have to ask for the scarce resources within her organization. Yeah, high fidelity prototypes. And of course, we can also use it for qualitative research, right? You don't only have to show it in a survey, you can also show it in a qualitative interview. And the fact that you can do click tracking easily is a very, very nice benefit to not only have survey data to rely on, and next step, another A/B test between version 2 and 3. So thanks a lot for your attention.
Thank you so much for your talk, Carina, and
You're
also
welcome.
your presence on stage and showing us how the sandbox was put to life. Are there any questions from the audience right now?